I want to be a model, but I want to be a black model, and all black models are bald for some reason, so I guess I need to start liking the look.
Hi, love. Have you ever opened a high fashion magazine or watched a runway show? Yes, there are black women there, T, but she's always dark skinned, bold. She is stunning, obviously, but 80% of the time she has no hair. It's either that or she's a light-skinned girl with loose curls. Like, there's no in between. Now, in my last video, we talked about young black girls in Africa being made to shave their heads. If you haven't watched that, please go check that out. And somebody commented that, have you also noticed that when it comes to high fashion, the black girls are never showcased in their natural hair, their afro, Fulani braids, all that kind of stuff. The amount of hairstyles that we have as a group of people, why is this the image that is shown to us every time black women not having any hair? So this brings a question: why are black models bald? Why does black beauty in fashion only exist in extremes? Let's talk about it. Also, if you're wondering, I'm not filming on camera today. I am 9 months pregnant. I could either pop out today, this moment, or in 2 weeks.
But anyway.
So, the fashion industry has a long history of using dark-skinned African origin models with shaved heads or minimal styling as a specific visual archetype, one that is both racialized and exoticized. Hope I said that correctly. Dark-skinned, bold black women, often from East or Central Africa, are used to symbolize a very specific aesthetic in fashion. And it's almost like this it's giving like raw beauty, minimalist elegance and otherworldliness or alien chic. That's what it often gives. This isn't random. It's a continuation of how Western fashion has historically fetishized African bodies without respecting the range of black beauty. Like, just us being black is as much as of a diversity as we can go. I mentioned this starting the video that it's always that or the light skin, loose curls, and that is their idea of what black should be. And I also wanted to add that it feels like designers use their image as a shorthand for globalism or sophistication or artistic grit, without ever engaging with natural hair diversity or diasporic black culture or Afro-Caribbean or African-American aesthetics. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I know that the sort of beginning of modeling was because they wanted to make a human mannequin. Like, you have to see the clothes first before you see the human. So it's kind of like that is more important. And I feel like the modeling industry has progressed with our white counterparts, where their hair plays a huge factor in bringing out the personality of the model, or bringing out the humanness of the model, where the black models are still being seen as a mannequin and uniform and the same. Because essentially that is what you're doing if you have like 90% of black models all looking the same hairstyle. But anyway, the obvious factor is that black hair still scares the fashion industry. So by casting models with shaved heads, the industry avoids dealing with textures they don't know how to style, styles that they deem too urban, and they also get to avoid their designs being seen as political. As we all know, just us rocking our afro hair, our natural hair, is seen as something radical.
When you signed, did they ask you to cut your hair?
They did. And I told them this, and I was like, every dark-skinned model has to have short hair, and
why?
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I think it's just, to me, in that moment, was they don't want to deal with the fact that they have to style it or have to deal with how to come up with styles.
And this is pissing me off, honestly, because where are we? We're in 2025. How you still don't know how to do with black people hair? No. That's true. You personally, would you had loved to keep your hair?
During that time, yes. I cut it for personal reasons because I have a 2-year-old, if you guys didn't know.
Oh.
So I cut my hair.
That's my best friend.
So I cut my hair after pregnancy.
Why? Because you said like you want to get rid of the...
I just need a change for some reason. Yeah, it was just hitting me, and I'm one of those people. I have to be drastic about change. Yeah. So one day
your hair.
I even made a
why this change?
Hey,
you say I want to change everything. You change everything. Bed sheets, everything, clothes, everything. Hair off. Wow.
Everything.
So when I obviously have this type of conversations, there's always that person like, I do this because of this and this and that. But I just want to mention that there are always different reasons why, these models who are individuals shave their hairs. For some, it is a way of survival, a way to avoid constant hair damage from stylists who don't care about black hair. For others, it's the price of success. It's a ticket into a world that sees natural hair as unkempt and unprofessional. But beyond that, the bold black model has become a fashion template. As I mentioned earlier on, she's not just edgy, but she's a symbol of art. So you have to ask yourself, like, why isn't anyone else required to do this? Why in 2025 there aren't hairstylists put on these sets that know how to do black hair? As I mentioned in the previous video about how African schoolgirls are forced to shave their heads in order to focus in school, I think this also goes to this idea again, the way to just make people focus on the clothes, because once the black beautiful model has hair, your hair is a problem. It's too distracting, it's too loud, and you can't be taken seriously.
Why does the modeling industry shave and shear black women bald? I'd like to know that. I have my suspicions, right? Anak being bald kind of started this, right? And she was bald for a photo shoot. Keep that in mind. It happens, right? But why in the world is every black woman sheared? I am all for natural hair, and I think it's so beautiful, especially when it's like short and cropped. Their face, it's always like more face, right? Okay with that, because they can't hide. That face don't need to hide behind nothing. But it's always black women bald. Makes me squint. You know what I think it is? I don't think the hairdressers want to deal with the hair, and I think there's more damage because they have to keep doing the hair. Could be a lot of things like that. But I don't think they want to deal with these women's hair. I really don't. I've seen models come into the industry with hair. They cut it off to work. It's a story we've been telling for decades. Let's not even play. Black hair, black makeup has not been at the forefront. So my mind goes, well, if it's easier for her to work because they don't have to really deal with it. Again, I don't mind it because I think it really does the cheekbones sharp. But
And no, we're not about to finish this video without talking about the Jay Versace tweet. So he tweeted, "Why do it seem like you gotta look extremely African in order to be successful black model? I don't like that." So yes, it's giving xenophobic. But tapping into the bigger, more nuanced side of it, yes, it's a colorist and xenophobic statement, but looking deeper, it reflects real frustrations among Black Americans. In fact, it rubbed a lot of people in the wrong way. So as I've mentioned multiple times, in the fashion industry, we only have one toe in at the moment. There is not enough room for the Black diversity. So if you don't have that aesthetic look of this tall, dark skin, short hair, all that kind of stuff, you don't fit in. So which leaves other percent of Black people not to be included within the fashion industry. Their features aren't as celebrated unless they are softened by proximity to whiteness, meaning light skin, loose curls, as I talked about.
Let's talk about Jay Versace's tweet that has since then been deleted, where he stated that he feels to be successful in the fashion industry nowadays, you have to be someone that has African features. And though these conversations are very much needed, it always lacks nuance and depth because it undermines and does not address the root cause of the issue within how power operates within these spaces, specifically the fashion industry. And it often just participates in pitting marginalized communities against each other in a system and a space that's already exclusionary and does not have a lot of representation. Well, the fashion industry is rooted in texturism and featureism. People of lighter skin, looser hair curl patterns, and obviously, features that pertains to them having very much Eurocentric features, have more of a career and success within this industry, compared to people that are darker, that have 4C hair and wider features that does not conform to the European beauty standards. This is not about Africans versus African Americans, it's about which kind of blackness sells under the white gaze. It's important to note who's casting shows, who owns agencies, who's the one making the final call and campaign and also covers. Because that's the real question that we need to have. We still fail to question this institution that maintains power and control, Even though there is representation, it's still curated by white-led institutions. The conversation is so redundant because it never addressed the gatekeepers of this industry. It's crazy that in 2025 we're still having first covers. And we should be asking, are they being paid fairly? Are there any people of color within the production team of these campaigns? And is this real representation or just optics? The elephant in the room is the divide and conquer, which is the biggest trait of white supremacy, which thrives when marginalized people start conversation that directly attacks each other. In fact, it's just a result of false binary, because we can definitely critique internal dynamics of actual areas without losing sight of the real issue that we need to address. The fashion industry does not value blackness unless it's profitable or palatable to the white gaze. Representation should not only be at the forefront, but every aspect of our creative industry and fashion industry. Because representation without redistribution of power is just decoration.
So as we know, like, the fashion industry is already rigid and exclusionary, so we are a long way from actual diversity. But yeah, it's so sad that you never see a Gigi Hadid or whoever the other white models are have to shave their hairs to be considered artistic. Even mixed race models with loose curls are praised for their natural beauty, but they're never asked to, sacrifice their hair to make themselves more palatable. As someone who has tried to dive into the fashion industry, like, I used to go for costume goals, but yeah, unfortunately I'm like very short, and also there's nothing interesting on my face, as it seems like you have to have, I was not the right kind of black, as most of us feel. But at the end of the day, it's not about, hating a bold look or light-skinned girls. It's about the system that tokenizes and, fetishizes who we are and, like, puts us in a box. And it's just very exhausting. But anyway, tell me what you guys think about this video. Hopefully by the time this comes out, like, I have already given birth. Like, yo, I'm so tired. Like, I'm so tired. I can't. Somebody please get this baby out. But before I go, I want to give a shout out of the week. Thank you so much at Nilao M9B. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. See you guys next time. Bye.